Good morning, uh, Mr. Manoj Gupta, Director, Rukmin Devi Institute of Advanced Studies, Dr. Poonam, distinguished faculty members, and my dear young scholars. I call you scholars because very soon you are going to enter the world of research after completion of your graduation and then post graduation. Then definitely some of you would like to move towards research. Here I would be talking to you about funding of researches in social science discipline. So your topic for the seminar, role of social media and communication in management studies, that itself speaks that how relevant is the topic nowadays, and I congratulate your institute for choosing such a relevant and contemporary topic. I think in the day this thing you will be listening from the experts in the field. But here I am just to tell you about my organization, which is an apex body in the field of social science research. See, basically, I belong to Indian Council of Social Science Research. That's an apex body in the field of social science research, which was established in 1969 by the government of India. At that time, after independence, they realized that we need to focus on researches, and for that, they formulated four bodies, uh, namely Indian Council of Agriculture Research for the promotion of agriculture research, then CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, then ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, and then lastly they thought that we should have a proper research body in the field of social sciences. So they established Indian Council of Social Science Research. As I have already told you, it was established on May 12th, 1969, and very soon we are going to have our golden jubilee. So we have already completed 50 years of our research excellence. So on 13th of May, 12th being the election days, we are going to have a gala function. So I invite you, I'll send the invitation to Dr. Manoj Gupta, and then I'll see that if some of the faculty, if you want to participate, so definitely we welcome you. Even some of the students also, if they wish, because there you would be meeting with eminent social scientists, which is very rare feat, because celebrating 50 years of social science excellence, research excellence itself is a great opportunity. So just to show in face our achievements. So there we would be discussing what happened in the past, what's happening, and what's going to be the future of social science research. As I already said, it's an autonomous body. See, we have got 24 research institutes and 6 regional centers. I would like the students to please listen carefully, because from here you will go into research, because after completion of your BBA you would be pursuing your MBA, and then after that you would be going for, some of you might be going for research. And let me tell you, for us it is not, it is only because I got the request from Dr. Manoj Gupta that I am here, otherwise even we don't have time to visit universities. So please listen carefully what I am telling you. Okay? This is going to help you a lot. For other things you will have many speakers. For this and that to have a person directly from ICSSR, see, because in a year I cannot visit more than 10 universities. Yesterday I went to Indira Gandhi National Tribal University at Amarkantak just to make them familiarize with our research funding. What kind of research funding? Because 90% of our population of researchers, they don't know from where to do research and from where to get funding. So they become handicapped. So as by duty, I am here to just make you aware about that. But since I don't have much time, so I'll be very brief. 24 research institutes are established in right from north to south and east to west. We have covered all over the country, And in Delhi, we have got institutes like CSDS, Institute of Economic Growth, CWDS, and ISID. So these are the 4 institutes in Delhi. We have got our one regional center at JNU, where they look after the activities of northern region. Similarly, we have got 5 other regional centers. One of them is at Western Regional Center, established at Mumbai University. We have established all the research centers in the campuses of our universities so that they can be directly in touch with the university activities, and they can be managed by the academicians there. Normally, they are headed by the vice chancellor of that university, who acts as chairman of that institute, of that center. Then we have got Southern Regional Center that is established at Usmania University, Hyderabad. Then Northeastern Regional Center at Shillong. Then Eastern Regional Centers at Kolkata. So like that, we have got 6 regional, and then Northern Western Regional Center is at Punjab University, Chandigarh. So similarly, 24 research institutes, some of them being MIDS, Madras Institute of Development Studies. Then we have got your Isaac at Bangalore. So similarly, we have got very, very eminent institutions who are doing pioneer work in the field of social science research. This is our mission. See, normally our activities start from the doctoral level. We fund PhD, then postdoctoral. See, we have got various stages. When you complete your MPhil program or after your post-graduation, then you have to appear for NET or SET. And then after that, so we offer you the first kind of research. For that, we fund you, that is doctoral fellowships. We provide around 400 research fellowships. Some of them are managed by our research institutes, and then most of the fellowships are managed centrally by the ICSSR. So for that, you have to get yourself registered with some university, or you can get registered with our research institutes where you can carry out the work. Normally it is for a duration of 2 years. And then we have got postdoctoral. Postdoctoral is when you complete your doctoral work. After that, in case you are unable to get a faculty job, then we don't want you to get diverted from the research, so that instead of going to some second rated, third rated colleges, we want you to concentrate on the research, and we offer you postdoctoral fellowship that's for a duration of 2 years. So once you are a postdoctoral fellow of ICSR, we expect you to get absorbed in some very good university. So then once you are there, then we provide you senior fellowships. So once you have worked in a university or in a college for 5 to 10 years, then after that definitely you like to take a break, do some kind of research. So we give you salary protection, as well as if you are in a government setup. Otherwise, we'll give you about 35 to 40,000 rupees per month, and then plus contingency where you can carry out research on a topic of your choice. So we advertise in the newspaper, you can apply. And after that, when you have spent your whole life in the research, we don't want to leave our research work like that. So we offer you national fellowships that is offered to very, very eminent social scientists of the level of vice chancellors sometimes. So they can choose a topic of their choice, and then they can work on that topic. So that is known as, normally we offer 15 to 20 national fellowships in a year. See, then second funding is for the research projects. They have been divided into 3 categories: minor, major, and collaborative studies. See, minor is of the tune when you carry out a research project up to the say about 5 lakh rupees. Then we have got a major research projects that is from say 5 to 10, 15, 20 lakhs. And then we have got collaborative program that's known as a research program, where funding is available up to 50 lakhs. So 2-3 institutes can collaborate, and then they can go for this. Is it making sense to you? Some interest? Okay, so otherwise I would like to rush. Then we have got an international collaboration program. India is a party to agreement with 24 countries, which includes all the major countries. So we signed MOU on behalf of Ministry of HRD, because we are the only recognized body who can sign agreement with different countries. So we provide grant to Indian scholars for if they want to present a paper or if they want to go for data collection. And then we have got a cultural exchange program from where eminent social scientists from the two countries, they can have joint seminars, they can have joint studies, they can organize joint collaborative seminars, conferences. So that's a very, very good program which is undertaken by the ICSSR. So there we uh, have got our global presence where we can exchange our thoughts, where we can see what other countries are doing so that we can collaborate. Then we give grant for the seminars and conferences. I think next time if your institute organizes any conference, I think you can apply to us and then we will see. If you meet the parameters, we would definitely like to fund any kind of seminars or conferences. So guidelines are available on our website and the funding is normally 50% you have to arrange yourself and 50% we try to fund. In case of SCs and STs or rural areas, we try to fund from 75 to 90%. So that is where we fund around 1000 seminars and conferences all over the country. Then we have got training and capacity building program. Say it is divided into two. One is known as the research capacity building program, where we train the younger faculty so that they can write the research proposals. We tell them how to write the research proposals, how to develop it so that, because normally what we have found in ICSSR is that 90% of the research proposals, they are rejected because they are not written properly. Even the faculty members. Because that's why I am consultating right now. Right now it may not be making much sense to you at UG level, but later on when you get when you get upward in your career, so then it makes sense, then you realize. So I would definitely like to see in case if you qualify under this category. And then we have got this capacity building program. So in that what we do is research methodology course. So in that we tell you how to conduct research. So you can call, it's a 2 weeks program where the experts are convened. So they hold workshops with them. Then they are supposed to write proposals and then we get them corrected so that they can go further. Then we provide grant for the publication of our journals and then research reports, because we fund around 2 to 3,000 research projects fellowship reports. So out of that, those who are under the category of outstanding reports, we try to get them published for the mass dissemination so that they are done by the reputed publishers like Oxford University Press, Replace, Sage, etc. So we want them to get published or disseminated not only across our country but across the globe. So they just get it disseminated through Amazon and other platforms, and even the e-versions are also available. Then we have got a very, very big documentation center that is known as NASDOC, National Association for Social Science Documentation. That is a 35 Firosha Road, Mandi House. So where you can have best of the books available in the field of social sciences, and management is one of our premier disciplines. So in case if you want to have any kind of research material or any kind of journals, so we subscribe to all the e-journals which are normally not available because of their high cost. So we try to have them with us. And then we have got, see, as our coverage is concerned, it's basically we cover all the UGC recognized universities, colleges, research institutes, ICSR research institutes, and then we also fund the subject or discipline wise professional associations of social scientists. These are all our 24 research institutes. These are listed here. We have got institutes like IP, Institute of Public Enterprises, then we have got SAS, then CSD, and then CSDS, I think you would be, nowadays there is the election time, so people like Yogendra Yadav used to be affiliated with us, they worked as a faculty, so all these pathologists and other, so they have even now we have got Dr. Sanjay, so normally you will find him on the TV. is doing a lot of electioneering related work. So like that we have got all the these are all the premier institutes. So in case if you want to go for further research, so you can you can contact any of the research institutes. So they are our part. We fund them. 50% of the funding is done by ICSSR as a central body, and then another 50% is done by the state government. Initially they were research centers in the respective states, and then they were taken over by the ICSSR as per the agreement signed with them. As I already told you, we have got 6 regional centers, then we have got 5 ICSSR recognized institutes where we don't fund them directly, but they can apply to us for various schemes. These are the locations, so you can see we have got, they are spread across the country. Now, this is the international visibility. You can see that we have got collaboration with all these associations because these are the various APEX associations in the field of social science in the respective country. So we sign agreement with them. Say as you have got this ESRC, Economics and Social Research Council, UK, some of them are very leading, almost all the countries are covered, leading countries are covered. So we work with them, they visit us, we also visit them, and then even the faculty from different universities, they go as part of the delegation to these countries. Now, these are the funding opportunities. I'll be dealing with that separately. One is known as Impress. This is the latest thing what has happened in the field of this is a program. So this is the first time that Ministry of HRD thought that we should fund the social science research in a very big way. So Ministry of HRD has given us funding of rupees 430 crores, which used to be given to only science or the technology component, but we have been brought up at par with them. So now ICSSR would be dealing with this. This is impactful policy research in social sciences. They want us to say fund around, carry out around say 2000 projects of the tune of rupees say 15 to 20 lakhs. So we would be having 4 calls for them. In each we will be selecting about 400. For first call, we have already got 4,000 projects, and out of them we have chosen 400 projects. So those projects we would be funding under various themes and sub-themes. So we have given a complete, there is a dedicated website to the Impress. You can go there, look for the themes, sub-themes, and whenever we give a call, you can apply. Anybody can apply. It's not limited to any university or any this thing. Anybody can apply under this scheme. And then we have got, as I already told you, research fellowships, international travel grant, conferences, seminars, training, capacity building, then publication grant. So this is what I was talking about. This was launched by the HRM, Human Resource Development Minister, under the able guidance of our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. He's a man behind this scheme who thought that why this social science research should be neglected. So this is the scheme. I think I don't have that much time, but I will just rush through it. These were the 3 schemes which were launched on the same day. So one is known as Spark, that is for science and technology. That's being looked after by IIT Kharagpur. Then Imprint, and then we have got this Impress. So this Impress program was assigned to ICSSR. We are the implementing agency. We have got 11 domains and then subdomains. So these are some of the domains: state and democracy, urban transformation, media, culture and society. Here I think this media people, they fit under this category. Agriculture, rural development, health and environment, science and education, employment skills. Almost all the contemporary disciplines are here. We want now this particularly input so that we can pass it on this input to policy makers like Niti Aayog and other ministries. So we will be having the studies, and then those studies would be sent to them, outcomes would be sent to them, and later on they may further do research on all those topics. So it would take about 2 to 3 years time, and I think After 2 years time, you will find lot many studies. Those would be at the level of say international level studies. We want to have it. So eligibility is government funded institutions including universities, central and state private institutions with UGC 12B status and ICSSR funded research institutes, and these are eligibility. So normally project directors, regular employee with PhD and with high quality publications. Then even retired faculties we include because we don't want that their research capability should be wasted. So they can again apply. Then government official, defense personnel having research interest, they may also apply. This is a very large scheme. So normally we advertise in the newspaper as well as it is available on our websites. So then you can apply. Duration is from 6 months to 2 years. You can have short-term projects. You can have long-term projects. As I said, we would be awarding 1,500 projects in 4 calls. One in 2018. It has already been done. So results are out. Then again 2 in 2019, and then because this is something very new, so we try to publicize. See, this is an online kind of a publication where online evaluation where you have to first you have to apply online. That it is the computer itself takes the name of the examiners. Nowhere we are there. So the whole screening is done in a very secretive manner so that expert doesn't know whom he is evaluating, and the applicant, he doesn't know who is evaluating, so that we can have best of the material available with us. It's a blind review. So again, then we call those who are selected, we call them for interaction, so that sometimes, when you apply, you don't know that what kind of funding you are going to get. Your funding, even we think it can go from 5 lakh to 10 lakhs, and it can, again, it can be cut down from 10 lakh to 5 lakhs. So it depends on the experts. ICSSR is not a party to that. We have got an independent review system, independent interaction, and even the presentation is done through teleconferencing only. So once that is done, then we have got a committee, high power committee, which is headed by Secretary Higher Education, Ministry of HRD, Chairman UGC. So people of that level, they are part of that committee who finally select the proposal. So this is a very high level, particularly for faculty. I think they can pay attention to this. They can just apply under this category. So these are the various heads we have provided. Even the publication of report has been made mandatory, where you have to. So this is the kind of remuneration we allow research associate, research assistant. So in case if you have a project here, you can take some of your even students so that they can work as research assistants. This is how we monitor. You have to submit online progress report, then expert evaluation, presentation before monitoring committee. It's a regular presentation, and then lastly, it needs to get published so that other people also know what's happening. And then finally, we would be submitting all the reports to Ministry of HRD so that they can make further use of it, and then we would be sending to all the things. So then we also like to provide grant out of this kitty. We would like to provide grant for the holding of seminars under these domains only. So again, this is an opportunity where you can apply for national level up to 5 lakh, international level 10 lakh, collaborative it is up to 10 lakh. So even this budget can further be increased or decreased. Allocation is for domestic travel, international travel, where you have to give us a proof of their confirmation along with their paper for accommodation, food expenses, honorarium to keep paper writers, contingency office expenses. So like that, then I have already told you we fund around 300 postdoctoral fellowships. Eligibility is PhD, less than 45 years. Then we give them, right now we are giving them 31,000 rupees, but it is likely to go further enhanced. Then senior fellowship, we give about 100 senior fellowships. These are the various parameters. I'll send the copy of this through email to sir, so that if anybody wants. So then this is National Fellowship, international collaboration, which I have already talked about. Then data collection, very interesting for the students. Normally, organized institution, universities like JNU, who are running this international relation program. So normally they apply to us because they have to collect a lot of data from different countries. So it's very helpful for them. And then at a very young age, even while you are pursuing your say PhD, doctoral work, if you want to present a paper in international conference, which was never heard of, we give you grant for that. Faculty, because normally they don't have funding from their institution or otherwise. But then we fund you. We try to give you 50% of the funding so that you can present your paper. You are not deprived of your global presence. Then cultural exchange program, as I already said, with different countries. Then national, international seminars, we have given the details. Training and capacity building, how we run it, what is the budget. So we have we give you the guidelines so that you can see the proper justice should be done to the public money. That is our sole aim. So sometimes we send our observers so that they can just attend these seminars, these workshops, so that we know what's happening there. It's not that you just like any other government agency, you give funding and then you sleep. We try to have our not our physical presence also. So regarding that only yesterday I visited Indira Gandhi National Tribal University so that I know in case if they, but when I went there I found that the funding was less. So next time if they apply, because they have to spend a lot of money in traveling and otherwise also. So I thought that I'll convey to my authorities that next time we give them more grants. So that is the whole this thing, and then they have already come up with the papers, those who are submitted to them. They will be coming with the papers, and later on with the suggestions received from the experts, those would be developed into research papers so that they can be published in some good research journals, which is the need of the hour. See, we lack far behind when it comes to publications of research papers in reputed journals. That is where we have to work. Otherwise, you are not recognized not only in our eminent institution but worldwide also. Publication grant, in case you have done your research doctoral work, fellowship reports, project reports, seminar proceedings, just like this. And then in case if you want to bring out edited volume, or if you want to do work on some social, some kind of themes which is relevant to our country, so on that you can apply to us. And then it is under revision. This scheme is totally under revision, and we have got associated with about 30 to 40 international level publishers. They have approached us and they are ready to publish our books. So that's all. This is a brief presentation I have got about ICSSR. Any questions if you want? Brief questions I can take up. Any brief question you want to take up? So with this, yeah, please. Yeah, yeah.
So that includes the registration fee or the travel expenditures as well.
Travel expenditure. Travel expenditure.
Registration plus travel.
Registration you have to give.
Okay, 50% of the travel expenditure.
Yeah.
And the clause of 12B is applicable in this case as well.
I have to check up, sir. I have to check. Because it from various schemes. See, now we have got a chairman, new chairman. So he thinks ki why private institutions should be deprived. If you are doing some Excel work, so they should also be bring at par. So he has given lot of relaxation, and we are incorporating. So I have to see what is the latest position. You please visit our website. Complete guidelines are given there. So you can visit, you can see in case if you become eligible. In case of query, I'll leave my number so you can contact us. Our officers at ICSSR, they are very helpful. If you visit, then you will find how friendly we are. You can enter any room, you can talk to anybody there. So we would try to help you out. As a gesture, I am here in your institute. It's not university. I am here because we want to spread the message that government institutions are not only for government funded organizations only, because they go get lot of funding. But in case I am told that you are bringing out 2 journals, which is a very rare feat. So I congratulate to institution who is bringing out 2 journals. Here you give opportunity to youngsters, even your BBA students, MBA students, you can just, if you have the if you can develop this habit of writing research articles, I think then you've got a very bright future, because this is what we lack in our country. We don't want to write. So, I mean, those days, I know my school days when we used to write for our school magazines. Even at that time, printing facilities was not available. We used to have this handwritten magazines. They are still there in the library, and when we visit our school, we see them. And they used to be, I think, more, they were much better than what we are doing, because they used to represent our soul. So here you have got this opportunity, you write something, show it to your faculty, consult the library, see some of the good journals, see how they write, how the abstract is written, how references are given, notes are given. So like that, if you develop that kind of a thing, so then I think it's going to, whether you go anywhere, you attend any corporation, any multinational company, see, these presentations are a very normal feature. So here, I think you will be trained in all those things, because here we are not here to find faults in you. We are here to see your how we can improve you. I normally tell to students, whether at school or college level, see, this is the last where you should not have any hesitation in asking. Later on, in case any organization you join, you cannot ask. I mean, you will find lot of hesitation. But here, this is the opportunity where you should make use of it. Even if you have to ask your faculty 10 times, because normally they are busy in so many things, but please approach them, make use of them. See, the management can only provide you best of the faculty, and I am told that you have been provided with best of the faculty, and it's very rare that some management is approaching national level organization like ICSSR to address these students. So when they told me you have to address these students, then only I thought that I must come, I must address you, so that whatever brief I know, I must communicate to you. So make use of this opportunity. Whenever you have an opportunity to come to JNU, our office is at Aruna Asaf Ali Mark, near to Indian Institute of Mass Communication. You can visit. Then, as I already told you, we have got our documentation center. It's a very rich library that is at 35 Firozshah Road. So in case if you visit that Mandi House site, normally you go there to see the plays and other thing. So there you can visit you must visit our documentation center. You will really find all these fellowship reports, project reports, they are there. So you can find there in various disciplines. And we have got a very good collection in management discipline also, written by very, very eminent people from IIMs, ITs, and international organization. So very good reports you can find there. And all the journals you can find there. You can get a copy also from there. So bibliography service we also provide. They provide lot of services to you. So you can find. So with this, any other question? Is it okay? Okay, thank you very much for the patient hearing, and I hope that we'll be in touch in some way or the other. Maybe after 5 years, 10 years, some of you may land up in ICSSR, and then you can say, sir, I am from Rukmani Devi Institute where we interacted first. So I wish you all the best. And here I would like to just say one thing. Don't be after placements. Placement will follow. If you have seen Three Idiots, the only message was that success would follow. Make use of this institute. Then placement you can get. That's not a problem. If you are capable, you will definitely get. I have seen people, those who have not got the placement from the campus, they have got the very high positions because actual your testing comes when you work there. So there you can rise from anywhere to anywhere. I have seen students from IIT not excelling very well. They are not excelling in their life because unless you have got communication skill, you have got presentation skills, sometimes it is not easy. I mean, just to have a tag is not going to help you for a long. Maybe initially you get a good placement, but later on, once you spend there 2 to 3 years, they know your capability. Then tag won't work, let me tell you. After that, it's only your hard work. Whatever hard work you have done in this institute, only that is going to work. So with these words, I conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Your valuable insights gave us a new perspective.
Our second speaker of the day is Miss Poonam Singh. Madam joined BW Business World as a sub-editor in 2015. She is an experienced web editor with a demonstrated history of working in publishing industry. Madam is a strong media and communication professional skilled in web content writing, storytelling, news writing, headline writing, and business journalism. She is a Delhi University Commerce graduate and has experience of more than a decade in content writing. Currently, she is holding the position of assistant editor in BW Business World. I would request Madam to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you so much, Dr. Ajay Gupta, for sharing such an informative niche research thing with you. We were not aware about such things. You guys are lucky. You should feel lucky that somebody is there to teach you how to take it forward if you really want to be in academics. So it's very informative. And thank you, Dr. Manoj ji, for calling me, for giving me such an opportunity so I can share my. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So I can share my practical knowledge with you. Shall I start? You must be aware about marketing communication. You know how marketing and sales is different altogether. I will start by asking you one question. What is marketing? What do you understand by marketing? It's in front of you. Tell me what is marketing, marketing communication, and how it is different from sales. Tell me, please. Don't be. I'm more nervous than you. Please get up. Tell me. Bolo, please. Nobody. Yeah. That's absolutely right. And how it is different from sales? Yeah, see, it's so easy. Marketing communication. And now this is marketing communication, which is different from marketing. Yes, it is a part of marketing, but it's different from marketing. Marketing communication refers to the means adopted by companies to convey message about the products and the brand they sell, either directly or indirectly. Actually, we left with very less minutes, but so I have to do it really fast. In other words, let me just quickly go to the, is it working? Yeah. Marketing communication, these are techniques which include so many other things like public relation. Have you heard about public relation? These are the tools. MARCOM, which is marketing communication, is in short form. It's first is information. How will you tell about the product? What is your message? Message should be informative. How will you develop your marketing strategy? Through with a message, you have to develop a message first, right? Marketing communication strategy is a strategy used by a company or individual to reach their target. What is target audience? There's so many questions. You have already read about such things, marketing and marketing communication, target audience, USP. So I'm just giving you brief about how can you use that USP, how can you write a message, what is the message for the, because See, I'm very nervous because we have only 10 minutes and my presentation is very elaborated. So that's, I'm just trying to compile each and everything within one message actually. When you're launching a product, you should be aware about the information. What is the information? Why you're launching this product? And to whom you can sell this product? Remaining. What is remaining? These are left things, like you have launched the product, you have explanations of the product's feature and everything. Leftover things are remainings, which are the product sales growth phase, competitive positions and and these are the all based around target audiences. Product maturity phase applies to consumers memory and brand specific. You know, everybody is brand specific. We are going by the brands, right? Can explain something about some brands? Hmm? Somebody saying something? Guys, you can speak up. I'm more nervous than you, so you can stand and speak up. What is the branding? What do you understand by branding? Marketing communication mix. Definitely everybody has read about this, right? Marketing communication mix, marketing communication program has PR, advertising, event marketing, product placement, new media, POS. This is point of sale. What is point of sale? What is point of sale? Have you ever visited FMCG or retail center? We have just seen in shelves there are Knorr or there are Maggie. These are the, yeah, point of sales. We call them point of sales. How we are placing our product, our brand on point of sales. You're going to visit Reliance or more. There are so many. Like somebody is coming, Nestle coffee का banner लगाने का हमारे shop के पास. So that is the point of sale. That means you're getting something from that point. That is the point of sale. Understood? What is the point of sale? Merchandising. It's very easy. What is merchandising? अभी आईपीएल चल रहा है ना. अब मैंने एग्जांपल बोल दिया, तुम्हें बताओ व्हाट इज मर्चेंडाइजिंग. स्पॉन्सरशिप. वीवो, वीवो ने सबका टी शर्ट्स पे दे हैव प्रिंटेड देयर वीवो. दैट इज मर्चेंडाइजिंग, राइट? इवेंट मैनेजमेंट, इवेंट मार्केटिंग. Different. Sponsorship means if you are going to give some money to the event, that is a sponsorship. Suppose somebody sponsored this podium. Okay, somebody sponsored flowers. That is merchandising. That is merchandising. What is event marketing? Fast. What is event marketing? इवेंट में जाके अपना बैनर या whatever logos and everything post करना, that is event marketing. What is new media? It's everybody is using these days. Millennials are mad for that. Yeah. So how you are going to promote your product through new media? How? And campaigns, yeah, advertising campaigns. They are paid, sometimes they are sponsored. You're getting sponsored messages, right? So those are new media, new media campaigns, right? All come under the new media, website, blogging, and your websites, social media. Social media. What is mobile communication? Are you getting Kejriwal's phone on your mobile? So, yes, tell me. Somebody raised. Yeah, yeah, yes. The video games comes under new media. Yes, but games and all, everything is new media. The games falls under the new media, right? You're getting calls from Kejriwal and Matlab, it's all Vodafone, all automated call, but still it's a mobile communication. PR. In these days, companies are saying PR is the most cheapest way to marketing. Most cheapest way of marketing. Basic instruments of marketing. I'll explain you about the public relation, but later because I have to finish the slide first. Then maybe we can go beyond that slides. Advertising, the basic instrument. Advertising is very, very expensive these days. Sales promotions, PR, direct marketing. You're selling. I mean, people are standing on the gates and they're just yeah, door to door. Exhibitions by posting your logo or your journals or your pamphlets through the exhibition. Corporate images, personal selling. Corporate images, if your profile, company is doing your profiling, these are the corporate images. Sponsorship, obviously, nobody say no if you're selling anything, you know, garbage or whatever, but you're giving money, so nobody will say no to your things. Packaging, through packaging, um, suppose Chocos ka package, there is a Bhim ka photo, so they are just tied up with the Chocos and they're just doing promotion through packaging. POS material, point of sale material. Word in mouth. See, Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta told us about the research and all. Now I will convey this message to many people. Internet, everybody, see, nobody knows about the Commonwealth game earlier. Now everybody is getting everything because of internet media. We are getting all the information and everybody is so much informative that you are aware about the news. No need to read the newspaper, but you're getting all the news through WhatsApp. Product placements. These are also sometimes paid or sometimes not. Beauty product reviews and all. So this is an example of the beauty product reviews, but these are the product placements. Marketing communication process. How we can start this process? Sender. It has a proper message picture. Sender. No. First we have to start with the 1 second. Channel. Channel, which is the point of the product through message and receiver and message and senders. Obviously, channel has the main center point, which is sending the message to receiver and message to sender. If I am as a sender, if I will not get the message, how will I send it to people? And sender, the party sending message to another party, which is major parties in communication. Obviously, we cannot send anything without communication, so we have to have a communication to send our message. Message, the set of messages the sender sends. Major communication tool, encoding, putting through into symbolic form. So what are the symbolic forms? Mascots. You know what are mascots? मास्कॉट क्या होता है? यू आर बीबीए स्टूडेंट्स. मैस्कॉट क्या होता है? एयर इंडिया का मैस्कॉट क्या है? दैट्स द मैस्कॉट, राइट? दैट्स द मैस्कॉट. चैनल, कम्युनिकेशन चैनल्स, मैसेजेस सेंड थ्रू. आई थिंक ये पीपीटी बोरिंग हो रहा है ना? नहीं हो रहा? ठीक है, बिकॉज पीपल आर, आई डोंट थिंक दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. प्लीज गाइज. Decoding, the process by which receivers assign meaning to the sender's transmitted symbols. One of communication function. Receivers, the party receiving the message, which are the audience. Major parties in communications. Response, set of reaction following exposure, reception of message. One of the communication, this is another one of the communication function. Noise, Unplanned static or distortion during process of communication, like I'm facing. Feedback, part of response transmitted back to the senders, one of the communication functions. Tips of effective marketing communication. Persuasive message. Different customers have different requirements and expectations. Therefore, it is very important to customize your persuasion message accordingly. You cannot sell a pizza in rural area, right? Because they don't know about it, because they have never tasted it. Like you cannot sell a Coca-Cola. Of course, you can sell, जैसे आमिर खान ने किया था ठंडा मतलब Coca-Cola, because they don't understand what is cold drink, but they can understand this is ठंडा. So that's how you can change your message. You cannot say it's a Coca-Cola, it's a carbonated drink, whatever you can drink it. क्या समझ आएगा उनको? नहीं आएगा ना. If you'll say it is ठंडा, if you're feeling hot, you can have ठंडा. Rather than having thanda pani, you can have this thanda. You will get energy and all. You can sell through. That means different area, different market, different people, different audience, then different messages. Design. Every medium of communication, such as magazine, newspaper, TV, digital media, or brochure, has its own designer requirements. Therefore, you need to plan and design. You have to understand which media is it. Suppose you're sending a Sunsilka ad. You have to print, you have to give Sunsilka ad. How will you understand the target audience? Who will your target audience? Definitely you will start with millennials. Who are millennials first? Chalo, thank God you guys know. Millennials are the first target. So how will they place? Magazine में देंगे ad, newspaper में देंगे, definitely. And how will they know your timings on social media? Obviously they will not send through ads on in the 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. because they know you guys are all in college, some in school. Definitely. What is the peak time for millennials? It's 4 to 6, because by the time they're coming from college or school, they're just having their lunch and a small nap, so which is the first time, 4 to 5. And they have a credit rating company to identify the credit time. See, so you have to identify your audience, then you have to design your ad, your communication message through your target audience. You cannot just, suppose Ambika Steel is a stainless steel market. Ambika Steel cannot give advertisement in newspaper like Times of India, like Hindustan Times. Why? Who will buy that pipes and the stainless steel hard ignite and rods? हमारा तो कोई use ही नहीं है ना. Why will we just skip that easily? So you have to understand your target audiences. Feedback. Must collect feedback from your audience. It will help you improve your marketing. As I will ask you, please tell me at the end of my session, I will ask you, tell me the feedback. How would you like it? Where I can improve, obviously, in my language or in my nervousness. So I can work on that. Feedback is very important. अभी घड़ी का वो चला है ना नया मशीन वाला पाउडर है ना, वो अमिताभ बच्चन वाला एड, एवरीबडी रिमेम्बर. तो उन्होंने क्यों चूज किया वो मीडियम एडवर्टाइजिंग का? टीवी एडवर्टाइजिंग इज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव दीस डेज. तो व्हाई डिड दे चूज द एडवर्टाइजिंग मीडियम? तुम्हारे मोबाइल पे देने का क्या फायदा? सारी मम्मियां तो टीवी देखती है ना. So that's the reason they chose TV as a medium. And Amitabh Bachchan, that's the become the brand ambassador, and they are getting the feedback through point of sales. They're just sending free gifts and they're saying the next time if you're visiting, please let us know what is the feedback. Or they're just giving us an email ID. You can write to us, right? Evaluation of marketing communication and concept. मैंने अभी बताया आपको. Marketing, media and communication, consumers. These are the three things. Marketing, we have already discussed about the marketing. How you can market about your through your message, through your point of sale and all. Media and communication. What is media and communication? How will you sell through media and communication? Through press. टाटा और ये जेट एयरवेज का जो पब्लिकेशन कर रहा है, सो दीज आर द कंट्रोवर्सीज. ये तो वी हैव टू फाइंड इट आउट. बट Jet Airways का flight launch हुआ, so they are just getting flashing their news through the media. This is the media communication. Media and communication. They have hired their corporate communication team. Through corporate communication team, they have hired a PR agency. PR agency is getting touch with media, so they are just spreading their news through media. So that is a media and communication. Focus on consumer database. What is database marketing? They just forms fill करते हो ना, जो बोलते कि मैडम आपका लकी ड्रॉ निकलेगा, फॉर्म फिल कर दीजिए. So they are collecting your data actually. Interactive communication, measured results, integrated marketing communication. What is integrated marketing communication? Integrated marketing communication, that means you have taken all the things all together, like thoda sa PR, thoda sa campaign, thoda sa social media. So that is an integrated marketing communication. A planning process designed to assure that all brands contacts received by a customer or prospect for a product, service or organization are relevant to that person and consistent over time. Awareness of audiences, media habits and preferences. We have discussed कौन सा millennials हमें कौन से टाइम पे मिलेगा, घड़ी का ad टीवी पे क्यों गया था. So these are the awareness and preferences of the audiences. Understanding of audience knowledge and belief about the product. Use of coordinated media blend linked to a specific objective. Key is a single coordinated message and image thirst. Synergy, the combined power of a group of things when they are working together, that is greater than the total power achieved by each working separately. Better use of communication funds, balancing the push and pull strategy. What is a push and pull strategy? Explain me one brand which you can say it is a push brand. What is push? पुश सेलिंग, किस प्रोडक्ट को बेचने के लिए तुम्हें पुश करना पड़ता है अपने सामने वाले ऑडियंस को. व्हाट इज अ पुश? गिव मी वन एग्जांपल. इंश्योरेंस. Insurance is the push product. Nobody will buy insurance like that. So you have to, itna sara telecalling, they have domestic setups, they have international setups. So that is a push product. And what is a pull product? Milk. You have to buy it. Yeah, exactly. Milk, bread, eggs, these are pull products. So you have to identify your, your product is push product or a pull product. Push strategy, direct communication efforts at channel members. Many products such as business product are promoted with a push strategy involving personal selling and use of ट्रेड प्रोडक्ट्स. वो आजकल अभी तो बंद हो गया है, बट डोर टू डोर कोई नया सोप लॉन्च होता है तो थोड़ा मिडिल एज वुमेन आती हैं. दे सेइंग बिकॉज व्हाई मिडिल एज वुमेन? सो दैट इज they are just forcing you to use new products. So that's the push marketing, push product marketing. Pull strategies, direct promotion at the end of the consumer. Most consumers' product would rely more heavily on a pull strategy, where promotion is directed at the consumers to stimulate demand. We have to, when we are doing push strategy, we have to product flow, communication efforts. We have to concentrate on both push flow and communication product. But in the rather than pull strategy, product producer, wholesale, retailer, consumer. We don't need to. We don't need to communicate effort. कभी दूध के लिए किसने communicate किया कि we are selling this milk and more? No, because anyways we have to buy. What else is important? Segmentation, the division of something into smaller parts, targeting, positioning. Segmentation, a market segment is basically a set of individual unique in some way or other, sharing one or more common characteristics, having similar needs, responding to the market condition in the same manner, have similar behavioral patterns, may or may not be belonging to the same community group or niche. Selecting target audience for whom your product or service is meant to be, most likely based on age group. We have already discussed about this. Age group, likes and dislikes, gender, social economic factors, geographical location. We have discussed all of them. Refer to the imagine your target audience has regarding your product or services compared to your competitors. It is all the more essential in today's setup where literally no sector is devoid of oligopolistic setup. What is oligopolistic setup? What is oligopoly setups? Oligopolistic. I mean, it's a tongue twister. What is oligopolistic? Have you heard about this word earlier? Tell me. Hmm? क्या होते हैं? जहाँ पे मोनोपोली होती है किसी प्रोड्यूसर किसी मैन्युफैक्चरर की, राइट? जैसे एग्जैक्टली एंड एग्जैक्टली वेरी नाइस. अगर गाड़ी का इंडस्ट्री में वी हैव टाटा, मारुति सुजुकी एंड एवरीबडी, सडनली न्यू ब्रांड विल कम, will you ready to buy that new brand? Nobody now, because that's the oligopoly market. Somebody, like in milk, guys, please, like in milk industry, Amul and Mother Dairy, they have the oligopoly. Yeah, like they have power. They have directed entire segment. Have you heard about Parag? Parag. Parag is slightly coming into the market with its cow milk. Principle of effective marketing communication: who, where, what, how much, from channel, period of time, what was it, identify the target audience, choice of communication channel, message, budget, communication program design, monitoring and evaluation, beliefs, idea, attitude, impression and action regarding an object. Channels, personal channels, non-personal channels. Advocate, experts, social media. Non-personal channels are event, atmosphere, media, print, broadcast, network, electronic display. Message content, rational, clear thoughts and reason. कभी झूठ नहीं बोलना अपने मैसेज में. Never say fake words. Never lie in your message. Ultimately, if person message structure, message source, source credibility, endorser, message format, establishing marketing communication budget, affordable methods, percentage of sales method, competitive parity method, objective and task methods, personal selling, everybody knows what is personal selling, advertisement, which is paid, electronic medium is the most expensive one, sales promotion, public relation. Mostly companies are adapting public relation because it's kind of way of cheap promotional, we say, marketing communication. Publicity through events and all. Target audience is usually asked whether they recognize or recall the message. What else can influence marketing communication mix? How many slides are left? Type of product. You have to understand it's consumer or B2B. Like I've given you example of Ambika Steels, that's not the consumer, that's for the B2B. Stage of product life cycle, level of consumer readiness to accept product, which are the services, promotion strategy, again push and pull, competitors, marketing communication mix, financial resources, which is budget. Chalo, it's finished now. Maybe I'll get a next chance so I can explain you better way, give you more and more examples, because I can say I have a more practical knowledge from the industry, so I can give you more examples. But anyways, I can ask if you have any questions, because I'm just winding up. Yes. Obviously you have to sit for placement, you have to ask, because we have marketing and sales, both are different sectors. If you show your interest that yes, I can draft a message, I know my audience, I know how to send a message through various ways and all, so you can definitely choose. You have to make up your mind. If you are in, you know how to make PPTs, you know how to draw messages, everything you should be clear about, because obviously you cannot go and out for sales. The sale is little difficult for obviously girls, so it's easy. Nothing is if you are confident enough, you can go, you can ask for the placement, yes, I am ready for the marketing. I am very good communication, because if for the marketing you have to be very good communication. You know which message sent to. You should know your target audience. Then you can easily apply. Thank you. Any further questions? Jaharu. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today Dr. Kenneth C. Werbin, Vice Dean of the Faculty Liberal Arts and Associate Professor of Digital Media and Journalism at Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada. I would request Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta to kindly welcome Dr. Werbin. We have the Benin presence of Mr. Diwakar Sharma, International Education, Marketing, Recruitment and Partnership Specialist. I would request Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta to kindly welcome Mr. Sharma.
It's my honor to introduce to you all our next speaker of the day, Dr. Kenneth C. Werbin. Sir is the Vice Dean of Faculty Liberal Arts and Associate Professor of Digital Media and Journalism at Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada. His research focuses on intersection of commodification, surveillance, and privacy in arrangement of digital and social media. His work has been supported by grants from the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, including a current collaborative SSHRC insight granted entitled Opening the Door on Privacy, Practices, Policies and Pedagogies. His book, The List Serves Population Control and Power, was published in 2017 by the Institute of Network Cultures in Netherlands. His peer-reviewed publications have appeared in notable journals including Media, Culture and Society, the Canadian Journal of Communication, the Journal of Canadian Studies, the International Review of Information Ethics, Queer Studies in Media and Population Culture, and Fiber Culture. Dr. Werbin and his research team were recently invited to speak at the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunication Commission on the topic of privacy, education and pedagogical intervention. We are honored to have you with us, sir. I would request Dr. Werbin to kindly address the audience.
Excuse me. For PowerPoint. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that warm welcome. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for welcoming me today to your lovely campus of your institute. As I say, I'm very honored and privileged to be here with you today. So what I'd like to talk about today is the idea of social media commodification and surveillance. So I want to introduce some ideas to you today about how to think critically about social media. I think that lots of you have lots of experience with social media in your day-to-day lives, as well as learning, as far as I understand, how to use social media in communication and marketing. But I wonder if many of you have had experience thinking through what is the business model that is operating underneath social media. How is it that these big platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, like Snapchat, how is it that they're making money? What are the products that they are ultimately selling on these sites and on these platforms? So I want to talk to you today a little bit about this, and I hope you enjoy the session. So the session is going to be called We the Product, Social Media Commodification and Surveillance. So I would just start off by asking a question of the audience. Who here is on social media? How many people in the audience are on social media and are actively using social media? So in fact, we see almost all of you who are in the room today are actively participating and using social media. So what kind of platforms do you use on social media? Anybody please just shout out some answers. I'm happy for this session to be interactive and to hear some of your thoughts as well. So what platforms do people use on social media? So I heard Instagram, I heard Snapchat, I think I heard Facebook underneath there. Pardon me? Twitter as well, of course, very, very important. Fantastic. Okay, so everybody has a tremendous amount of experience using social media and participating on social media. So what do we think is being sold on social media platforms? What do we see that's being sold on social media platforms? Sorry, somebody, one person speak up. Tell me some ideas of what's being sold on social media. I think you're leaning forward. Do you have an idea of what's being sold on social? Right, okay. So all sorts of products and services are being sold on social media, right? We see this all over the place in the advertisements and all the things, right? How many of you have had the experience of searching something on the internet and then all of a sudden looking at your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed and seeing that thing then being sold to you? How many people have had that experience? Right. So when you've had that experience, what is it that's actually being sold there? Is it the product that you've just searched on the internet? What is the only guaranteed thing that has been sold there? Anybody, any ideas? Do you necessarily, when you see those advertisements pop up after you've searched for something on social media, do you necessarily go and buy that thing? Is it a guarantee that you're going to go and buy the thing that you're seeing advertised? No. More than likely, you're not going to buy the thing that's been advertised, right? Oftentimes, you're going to actually even ignore the fact that there's those advertisements on the side of the page. But there is actually a product that has been sold when you see that advertisement on social media. And the product that has been sold might be surprising to you, but in fact, the product that's having been sold is you, right? The only guaranteed transaction that we know that has happened when we see an advertisement on Facebook is that Facebook has sold your eyeballs, yourself, to the company that wants to sell that product. That's the only guaranteed financial transaction that has happened when we see an advertisement, is you are the product that has been sold by Facebook to that company, right? So in order to understand the business model that is underlying social media, we have to understand how it is that commodification works, how it is that a resource is transformed into a product that has market value, right? That has a value that's been assigned in a marketplace. So the key resource, as I've said to you, that's being transformed into a marketable product on social media platforms is not actually the goods or the services or the trip to Malaysia that you might see advertised. It's actually you. You're the product that is actually being sold. The key resource that is being leveraged in order to sell the product that is you is all of the data that you are generating when you're on the internet, when you're on the social media platform, right? Today, people say that data is the new oil. Data is the new gold, right? The more data that we have, the more effectively the products can be sold, right? So we are the product. The primary key commodity on social media platforms are the users. We are the product that is being sold on social media. The only guaranteed transaction that is occurring when we engage with social media is that we have been sold to advertisers and marketers. So in many ways, the labor that we are engaged in is a labor of us generating data, of us being observed, of us being tracked while we're on social media. So in that regard, commodification, right, the way that resources are transformed into products on social media goes hand in hand with surveillance. The more effectively a product can be tracked, the more effectively that it can be sold, right? So we know this from supply chain theory, right? The more effectively one is able to manufacture a pair of jeans and then track those jeans as they move through our global supply chain systems, the more effectively one is able to deliver those jeans at the moment when they are needed in the shop, wherever it is, whether it's in Mumbai, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in Toronto, Canada, right? The more that we're able to track and monitor products, the more effectively we can sell them. So when we think of social media and we think about ourselves as the products, we need to understand that we are actually being surveyed very intensely on social media platforms. The minutiae of all of our transactions, of everything that we're doing, of all of our increasingly physical movements, of our interactions, communication movements, of our financial transactions that we're engaging through social media are being tracked and they're being monitored, right? And the reason that they're being tracked and monitored is, of course, what we see are all the conveniences that this gives us. It allows us to know that my friend is down the street at the Starbucks. I can go join them for a coffee. I'm able to use my navigation software to get from point A to point B far more effectively and efficiently. But we're not being given those services for free, right? Those services are very much the carrot that is being dangled in front of us in order for us to be giving away our data, in order for us to be exploited as products that are being sold by these massive corporations. So it's very important to understand that when it comes to social media, commodification and surveillance operate hand in hand. The more effectively we are able to track a product, in this case the product being ourselves, the more effectively we're able to sell that product. So of course underlying this is an idea of digital labor, right? And when we think about digital labor, we can think about a variety of kinds of labor that we might be able to observe when it comes to thinking about our smartphones that are in our pockets, our computers that we have, and also the ways that we're participating in digital and social media. There's user labor, there's wage labor, there's slave labor, right? So oftentimes we don't think about, when we think about our cell phones, our smartphones, our mobile devices, all of our digital and social media devices, we don't think about how it is that those devices are actually produced, how it is, where it is that we get the silicone, right? That is at the basis of the way computational technologies are operating. Where it is that we're getting that, well, oftentimes it's being mined in African nations, where laborers are working under slave-like conditions in order to get those essential minerals and silicone, etc., that are at the heart of the way that these technologies operate and work. We're not going to talk so much about that today, but in many ways there is a form of fetishism when we think of our digital devices and our technologies. We see this mystical object when we look at our smartphones. We see this incredible technology that allows us to access the world, that allows us to have all of these amazing efficiencies, and all of these amazing applications that we use. What we don't see underneath it is the struggle over the way that it is produced. We don't see those miners in African countries under slave-like conditions who are trying to get that silicone, who are mining that silicone. We don't see any of that. We just see this amazing object. In terms of labor, what we also don't see is our own labor and the kinds of labor that we're giving up when we're giving away our data, when we're allowing ourselves to be tracked and monitored. So there's some ways that we might be able to see very clearly that we're engaged in a form of labor. For instance, when there's a quiz or a questionnaire that we see that pops up on the side of our social media. What do you prefer? You like Nike shoes? Do you like Adidas shoes? Do you like Reeboks? Oh, it's fun. I'm going to click. Hey, wow, 43% of people have chosen Reebok. I feel like I'm part of that 43% of people. In fact, when we do a questionnaire or a quiz like that, or we fill out a top 10 list, we're actually working for these corporations, right? So in the past, a big corporation like Reebok or Adidas, or any of the big shoe companies, let's say, if they wanted to be able to gauge what consumers were interested in, what kinds of preferences they had for shoes, they would have to do something called a focus group, right? Probably many of you have heard of focus groups in the room. They would have to bring in a bunch of young people into a room, probably pay them something, right? Maybe a couple of thousand rupees, pay them something to sit there, feed them some food, give them some chai, give them a Coca-Cola, give them something, right? At which point they would ask them questions. Hey, check out these shoes. Do you prefer them in red? Do you prefer them in blue? Do you like them in yellow? Do you like them in green? They would ask you all these questions. Do you like the high top running shoe? Do you like the low top running shoe? And they would have to pay people, consumers, for that kind of information. Today, big corporations don't pay people anymore for that. They pay Facebook, right? And Facebook gives them the data that we willingly generate from our labor of engaging with these kinds of quizzes and questionnaires and top 10 lists and surveys that feel like fun, right? So increasingly what we're seeing is the more that we feel like we're playing online, in fact, we are working online. We are engaged in forms of digital labor when we are engaged in things that feel like certain kinds of games, right? It feels like a game. I know, like, let's say I use, how many people in the room have ever used Waze, the navigation software? Do you know this? One person in the room. I use this a lot. It gets me around really quickly. So while I'm using Waze, it's asking me things like, have you seen a McDonald's? Have you seen a Burger King? Click here, did you see a gas station? And slowly but surely, by me using and I try not to answer those questions just so everybody's clear, but slowly but surely, based on the labor of users, it's collecting all of this incredibly valuable information that it's now going to be able to sell to Kentucky Fried Chicken. They're going to be able to sell me as the product because they know I'm close to a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now they're going to offer me 5% off of my meal in order to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. I might not go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and use that KFC, excuse me, I'm not sure how it's referred to here. I might not go use that 5%, but rest assured, Waze, which is owned by Google, is going to get paid for having generated that advertisement and shown me that advertisement. So there are all these kinds of forms of labor that we can see in social media, like filling out the quizzes, the top 10 lists, answering questions about where we are, things that we might be interested in. There's all kinds of forms of labor that we can identify. But in fact, there are other invisible forms of user digital labor, too, that are going on when we're using social media platforms. There's a theorist and philosopher who I like very much from North America. His name is Mark Andreyevich. And Mark Andreyevich came up with this idea many, many years ago of the work of being watched, right? So when we are actually being observed and surveyed and tracked and monitored, we are actually engaged in a form of labor. Right? There is a form of labor that is associated with us being surveyed and watched. And the more that we are willing to self-disclose things, to give away our personal information, to give away our data, to show ourselves, the more we are engaged in a form of labor, and a highly exploitive form of labor. So Mark Andreyevich says all the way back in 2004, people are not so much participating in the progressive sense of collective self-determination as they are working by submitting to interactive monitoring. So when we're using social media, sometimes it might feel as though we're participating in a sense of community, right? That we're self-defining things and we're determining for ourselves what our lives are, what our communities are about. But in fact, at the base of what's going on in social media is we are being put to work. That our labor and our personal information and our very identities are being put to work when we are using social media platforms. Oftentimes when I talk about this, my students will say something to the effect of, yeah, but well, you know, I'm getting 10% off. It's a good deal for them. It's a good deal for me, right? I'll get 10% off. I can ignore the ads. What's the big deal? I'm going to get to the big deal in a couple of minutes and tell you why it's really important to think critically about these ideas. I'll just finish a little bit about the work of being watched. So the more ubiquitous our access is, the more comprehensive will be the data gathered by Google or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, and the harder consumers will be working as they play, right? So very important to remember, what feels as though we're engaging socially or that we're playing with our friends when we're engaging and using social media is in fact a form of labor. And it's something to always keep at the forefront of your minds when you're deciding, should I download that app? Should I use that app? It's impossible to completely get off of using these technologies, right? To completely, as we say in North America, get off the grid, right? It's very, very difficult to get off the grid. The key thing is to understand what it is that you're participating in and to try to get something more out of it than it's getting out of you. if you're not getting very much out of it, if it just really feels fun and you're playing and you're not really getting some sort of great efficiency out of it, maybe it's not something that you should be using because you're giving away a whole lot when you're using it. So, when we think about the idea of our labor and our labor being exploited in digital and social media arrangements by virtue of the fact that we are the product that is being sold, we see that in fact it's a classic form of what we call alienation. We have no control over the end product being ourselves, and how it is that we are being sold to advertisers and marketers by big companies. And at the same time, we don't have any control over the conditions of labor, right? So where are the conditions of labor for social media actually stipulated? How many people in this room have ever read what's called an end user license agreement? Do we all know what an end user license agreement is? Yes, right? When you agree to the terms of using Facebook, or you agree to the terms of using Snapchat or Instagram or Google, how many people in the room have ever read that? Usually one person sheepishly puts up their hands and says, well, I read a little bit of it. Because of course it's very, very difficult to read. It's full of legalese, it's full of jargon, it's incredibly dense and long. Oftentimes it's written all in capital letters, which makes it very, very difficult to read. Those are the conditions of labor. Those are the conditions under which we are working for the companies, these big, massive social media companies. So important to think about that. And I'm not saying to everybody in this room, now you need to go and read all of those end user license agreements and whatnot, because you'll find that in fact they all say very similar things, which is pretty much you own all of the content that you produce when you post it to Snapchat or Facebook or Google or Instagram, but we reserve the right for eternity to use it in any way, shape, or form we see fit. The data that you're generating, you're willfully giving to us, and you're allowing us to use it in order to generate advertising that is specific to your interests and your desires, right? It's saying things like that, right? And it's essentially removing control from you over the ways that you are being sold to advertisers and marketers, and it is saying that we reserve the right to change these conditions of labor at any time without warning you or telling you or allowing you to participate in any meaningful way in the way that you are laboring. Now, of course, one could say, well, yeah, that's pretty much the equivalent of people working in a sweatshop, in a factory. We have to remember that the kind of alienation and exploitation that I'm talking about here is not equal to somebody working in a sweatshop or working in a factory or being put to slave labor. The point of running these things alongside each other is to point out that this is not just fun and games when we are using social media, that there are parallels and equivalencies to be seen with the ways that our labor is being exploited and the ways that the product that we are generating, we are alienated from any control over. That's not to say that it's an equal form of exploitation to people who work in a sweatshop, but it is something that we need to be aware of, and it's something we need to think about when we're participating in these arrangements and giving away everything that we are giving away. So, I want to talk a little bit, moving towards a bit of some conclusions here. I want to talk a little bit about social implications. Do we really have nothing to hide? So I sort of gave a little preview of this before, but oftentimes when I give a lecture like this or I talk to my students about these ideas, they say, yeah, but sir, we don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything wrong. So why should I care if they're surveying me? What's the big deal if they have some data? What's the big deal if they know this or that about me, right? I don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything illegal, right? Well, it's very, very important to remember that social mores change very quickly. The morality of society changes quickly. The mores of society change very quickly. The laws of a society change very quickly. Just because what you're doing today is not illegal doesn't mean that tomorrow it will be legal. Things can change very quickly. When we've given away our data and we've given away this these minute details about our identities and the ways that we live, that information can be taken up in ways in the future that we do not understand or cannot predict. Laws change very quickly in a society. Now, I'm always struck when I come to India about the extent of registration. Everywhere I go, somebody wants to know my passport number, they want to know where I stayed. Even when I went to the swimming pool the other day at the hotel, somebody asked me to write my name down, write my room, what time did I check into the pool, what time do I check out of the pool, right? These are all just little details of things that I'm doing when I'm in India, right? And it's one thing when those records are being kept on paper. It's another thing when now we start to collect all of those records digitally. It's another thing when all of the registration that we do around our ethnicity, our race, our sexual orientations becomes something that is being circulated, sold by corporations, corporations that are working with government that give backdoors to that data through the government. Things change very quickly. To really understand how things change quickly, the example that I give that's a severe example, but a very, very important one, is in the 1930s in Germany. The Jews registered for the census and registration. They were being good citizens. Before the 1930s in Germany, Jews were very welcomed into the society. They had no problem in the society. German men were marrying Jewish women because they felt that they needed, long story, they felt that they needed the blood of the oppressed in order to become the Übermensch, to be bigger and stronger people. They needed to actually have Jews in their society. Jews were very welcomed in society in Germany in the 1930s. And when the government came around and said, you need to register, you need to tell us your address, you need to tell us how many children you have, you need to give us all the details of your lives, the Jews registered, right? The Germans at the time had powerful arrangements with the Hollerith Company. The Hollerith Company, for those of you who don't know, became IBM. Herman Hollerith invented the computer in the 1800s when he was working for the US Census Bureau. And at the time, he invented what was called punch card technologies, which some of you might still have seen or remember. Sometimes when you write an exam and you fill out the little boxes, that's punch card technologies. That was invented in the 1800s by Herman Hollerith, who was working for the Census Bureau. And at that time, it was very difficult to be able to register people and know very much about them. They could know one or two variables. With the punch cards, they were able to know a lot more about people and sort the population. The Nazis used that technology, and they took all of that registration data, and they started sorting the population, and we know where that led. So the Jews didn't feel like they had anything to hide in the 1930s when they registered, but very, very quickly they had something that they needed to have hidden, and they had registered and they had given that data away. Okay? So understand that social mores change very, very quickly in a society. Laws change very quickly. Just because today what you're doing is illegal, accepted, doesn't mean tomorrow that it will be. And so we do have something that we need to protect, and we do have to think about our privacy. These are important things. That's one point. The other point I want to make, which is a little bit shorter, in terms of why we should think about protecting our information, relates to manipulation. Just because what you're doing today is not illegal, doesn't mean it's something that you don't necessarily want other people to know about, right? So there's certain things that we do that we don't want our parents to know about, that we don't want our teachers to know about, that we don't want our employers to know about, that we don't want the government to know about. They might not be illegal, right? But they're things that we don't want people to know about. But when people do know about them, the possibility for you to be manipulated starts to increase quite exponentially. So this is an important idea also to think about when we're thinking about, I don't have anything to hide, I can just give my data away. The more data that you give away, the more potential there is to manipulate you, right? And we can see that with the advertising that pops up on platforms like Facebook, right? We can see that if we search for high cholesterol, let's say, or we search for something about heart disease, all of a sudden these intense warning advertisements start popping up that say things like, you're at risk of having a heart attack, you need to buy this product right now. And okay, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does work. Sometimes that manipulation really, really does work. And that is a very intense form of manipulation. Body image, right? For women is a very, very powerful thing. These social media platforms are using the data that's generated to manipulate women around questions surrounding body image. That is unethical. But it's a result of these arrangements in which we are willfully giving away our data. So we need to think about that. Number one, that social mores and laws change very quickly, and that just because what we're doing isn't illegal doesn't mean people won't manipulate us when they have that knowledge, because not everything that we do we want everybody to know about. Not everything that we search for do we want somebody selling us a product for. There are also democratic implications, right, to these kinds of arrangements, right? I'm not going to explain the whole idea of the Panopticon from Michel Foucault, my philosopher hero, Michel Foucault, the French theorist. I'm not going to talk so much about his work at the moment. I just want you to understand at the core that the more aware that we are being watched and surveyed, the more aware that we are that what we say can come back to haunt us, the more aware we are that whatever we say or do, our parents might see, our bosses might see, the government might see, and they're going to know it was me, and they're going to know that I'm the person who said it or did it or participated in that political rally, the less that we have a sense of anonymity in society, the more we self-regulate ourselves, the more we limit what we're willing to do or say, the more we limit the kind of democratic participation that we might need to be involved in, the more we limit the protests that we might go to. So there are very, very intense forms of democratic implications that are at play here as well. The more that we are aware that we are being watched and surveyed, the less free we feel to speak our minds openly, because we know it can come back to haunt us. In a democracy, people need to be able to speak in exaggerated terms in order to get to moderate positions. That's how new political ideas, when they come out, they seem exaggerated, they seem way too far out there. People speak about them in very intense ways. Slowly but surely that becomes more moderate and it becomes more accepted. That's how change happens in a democracy. If we don't feel free to say things in exaggerated terms, we risk the chance of having others decide for us what our democracy will look like, and I have news for you, that is no longer a democracy. So these are some of the reasons that we need to really think strongly and deeply and critically about what it is that we're participating in. I think I'll skip this idea about privacy, but just overall to say that the idea of privacy is about us having control over our information. The idea of privacy is all about our right to control data and information about ourselves, and for us to decide who it is appropriate to share that data with and that information with. We are in arrangements today where we have no control over the way our private lives are being shared. Corporations are making those decisions for us. So, a couple of conclusions, and I hope they're a little bit hopeful, because it can seem a little desperate, the situation that we might find ourselves in. I'm very hopeful today because I see an increased awareness of privacy. An increased awareness of privacy. Years ago, let's say 6, 7, 8 years ago, where I talked about this with my students, they didn't care. There was not any articles being written about this in the New York Times or in the Times of India. There were not any stories being written about this in our news and in our popular discourse. Today, there are a tremendous amount of stories being written about it. Most of us are probably aware of Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. Most of us are aware probably of the ways that Facebook has been pressuring governments around the world to allow data to flow freely. Most of us are aware that our privacy is being breached. So now we have to really think about it, and we have to do something about it, and we have to care about it. That's where it begins. So I'm hopeful because I'm seeing today that people are caring more about it. And that's the first step towards doing something about it. I'm hopeful as well because I see people who are interested in moving beyond the business model of social media. Facebook recently announced, and I just sort of put my hand over my head and say, that's not possible, that the next iteration of Facebook is going to be all about privacy. Mark Zuckerberg is making promises that I don't think he can keep. But even he recognizes that he better start talking about privacy. So they're saying they're going to move beyond the business model of social media today, which is all about breaching people's privacy all over the place, surveying them intensely, knowing them better than they know themselves. So hopefully we will find people who will move beyond this advertising logic that today is at the basis of the way that social media is operating, and we will soon start to see platforms that are engaging a different business model that involves us maintaining our privacy. I'm hopeful also because I think that profoundly people understand that our relationships in social media are superficial. They're not deep connections. They're very weak links that we establish in social media. So I'm hopeful that people continue to privilege their face-to-face communications with their family members and their friends in rooms like this where we speak to each other, right? And we're going to have an opportunity to speak with each other in a moment. I know this has been a lecture. But in rooms like this, where we get together face-to-face and we discuss important issues and we engage in democratic processes, which begin with discussions about what is wrong, like we're having here today, like I hope to have here today and continue here today with all of you in the audience. So I think I will leave it at that for the lecture today and open up the floor to questions. And I would love to hear some questions or hear thoughts from people. I'm not the only expert here on this matter. In fact, all of you probably have more expertise using social media than I do because I don't use it that much, because I understand what's going on underneath here. So I would love to hear from you any questions you have, any thoughts you might have, any provocations that this lecture has gotten you to think about. So I'll leave it at that, and I open the floor to all of us to have a conversation. Any thoughts, any questions? It's a lot that I gave you there, a lot to think about. So I'll ask a question. How many people have thought about privacy and social media in the past? Yeah. So I'm going to do this thing that I do sometimes, and I see you had your hand up. So what have you thought about in the past about privacy and social media? And was there some of what I'm talking about here today that has prompted you to think more about it? Yeah.
Earlier, when I used to connect with, for example, Facebook, and the example you gave that when we search something on the Google, for example, it appears on the Facebook site also.
Right.
That thing actually made me think earlier that how exactly is Facebook getting to know what exactly I'm searching on.
Right. Yeah.
So actually, I searched about it that Google is selling our cookies or data.
That's right.
To Facebook, and Facebook is utilizing that cookie to prompt us to actually buy those programs.
That's right. Yeah.
Your today's lecture and today your explanation actually made me more aware that it's not just about cookies and data, it's very much more about all.
That's right. Okay, so that's very interesting what you're saying here, right? It's important for us to understand Mark Andreyevich, who I talked to you about briefly, he talks about this idea of a digital enclosure. An enclosure, right? Something that's closed in. So Facebook is a digital enclosure, but it is porous, right? It connects to all sorts of other places and all sorts of sites, and oftentimes that operates through cookies. So we have to understand there's actually layers of digital enclosures that are communicating with each other, oftentimes through things like cookies that are collecting all sorts of data. So Facebook installs on your digital devices, your laptops, a cookie, right, which is gathering up all of this data about you, and then it's using that data about all of your surfing behaviors and increasingly all of your physical movements as well, because of course your device is GPS enabled. It's using information about your financial transactions because of course in the end user license agreement you're agreeing to be monitored in many, many ways, right? So there are these layers of digital enclosures, but they're porous, right? And oftentimes they have agreements, third-party agreements between the corporations that allow them to exchange data between them. Thank you for that thought. Any other thoughts or questions? Yes. Okay, that's a good question. Thank you very much. So the question is, what does manipulation mean, right? So I think that the good example, is the one I was using about body image, right? The question about body image. So we give away a lot of information about our personal identity. We might even, on a questionnaire, tell our height and tell our weight, and we tell our gender, right? And we also go and shop for certain kinds of products, right, that we might be buying. We look up a diet, right, that we might be doing. So manipulation is then when an advertisement is popping up saying something to the effect of, you're overweight, people are laughing at you, you need to do this diet and buy this product. That's manipulation, right? And that's an intense form of manipulation. Sometimes it won't register with us. It's like, yeah, whatever, I'm happy with who I am. That's not going to register with me. But sometimes it does register with us, right? And that is a very strong form of manipulation in advertising, right? Right? So oftentimes, one of the examples my students often bring up are, and I'm sure nobody in this room has ever illegally downloaded anything on the internet, I'm sure. I guarantee, I know that nobody's ever done that in this room. But some of my students have said that they have done that. And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be hearing that. Don't tell me about you. Anyway, but what they report, one student reports that he was using a torrent, right? Do people know what torrent is? Right? So it's a file sharing service, right? And as soon as he triggered the torrent, advertisements were popping up on his Facebook page that said, you are downloading content illegally. You are going to be subject to incredible fines and possible jail time. You need our virtual private network, right? And it's popping up, it's flashing. You're doing something illegal. You just click here and buy this and everything will be fixed. Another form of manipulation, right? Does that answer your question? Good. You're welcome. Any other questions or thoughts? 160 people in the room. I knew there had to be another question or thought. Yes?
As you enlightened us about the implications of other social media platforms,
yeah.
I would like to have an insight about LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
As we post everything on LinkedIn regarding our career and professional life, where have you worked upon, what work we are doing today. So, wouldn't there be any possible negative implications of LinkedIn?
Yeah, you see, this is fascinating. Very, very good question, right? Because there's social media that feels like play, that feels like socializing, and then there's LinkedIn, which is all about our career possibilities, right? So again, how free are you really on LinkedIn to really truly represent who you are, right? You're very aware when you're on LinkedIn that whatever you're putting on LinkedIn is going to be considered by a potential employer. And therefore, you want to present yourself in a certain kind of way. You don't necessarily want to reveal your political stance about people. Maybe you don't even want to talk about what your ethnic or racial background is or your religious beliefs, right? So here we are in that realm of self-regulation, of how free are we now when we know that LinkedIn is just one layer of many layers of digital enclosure, right? Many layers of, and maybe LinkedIn is actually looking at what you posted on Reddit, right? Where you might feel more free to say some things that maybe you wouldn't want an employer to know, right? But when you start to realize that, oh, maybe LinkedIn is watching that, maybe that data might be sold to recruiters or might be sold to corporations or might be used in a background check on me, oh, maybe I better not say what I really feel about the current government on Reddit because then maybe the boss who's going to hire me is not going to like what I said. Now we've got a real problem of democracy. particularly when less and less people are getting involved in discussions in person and are having those discussions online. Now we have a real problem of democracy, where we don't feel free to say what we need to say in order to engage in a debate that will possibly make a change in society. And now we've opened up the door to others making those decisions for us. Right? Does that answer your question? So LinkedIn is a very LinkedIn is a very complex case of social media because it's social, but it's professional media, right? And of course, it's layered in with all of the other ones. And so what we say on LinkedIn or how we present ourselves on Facebook and how it might relate to what's on our LinkedIn page, right? So thank you. That's a very good question. I appreciate. They're all very good questions. I appreciate them very much. Do we have any more? Any other thoughts? Oh, you want me to talk about the Panopticon a little bit? Okay, I'm happy to talk. So Michel Foucault, there was an architect in the 1700s, a man named Jeremy Bentham, who created a design for a prison. Okay? That prison had a tower in the middle with guards who were behind glass and you couldn't see the guards. Okay? And the jail cells, there was a tower in the middle, were all the way around in a circle around that central guard tower. And the inmates were behind glass and they had light behind them. So everything that the inmate did in the jail cell was visible, could always be seen. But the guards in the guard tower could see 360 degrees. They could see the whole prison. They could see everybody in the prison. But the inmates never knew if the guard is looking or not. And so what the Panopticon, that design is called the Panopticon. What the Panopticon does is it makes it that the inmates start to self-regulate themselves because they know that they might be watched, right? So it doesn't even matter whether or not they are being watched. The idea that they might be watched means that, oh, I better not do that. Oh, I better not do that. And Foucault said, so Foucault took that idea of this architectural design of a prison and said, oh, this isn't just but a prison. This is the way society is increasingly operating, where we never know when it is that we're going to be watched or who it is that's going to be watching us, and therefore we learn to inscribe on ourselves the rules of society, and we ourselves, we self-police, we self-regulate ourselves because we know that we might be watched at any time. So now when we enter into the world of Facebook, or we enter into the world of social media, we see how even more powerful this idea of the Panopticon is. Because Foucault said it's not just the guards who can enter the tower. Anybody can enter the tower to observe, right? So we know this idea in North America of creeping. People creep other people on social media, right? They don't know you, but they go and they look at your profile. It's creepy, right? Right? And they go and they look you up and like whatnot. That's anybody entering into the guard tower. So, oh, I better be careful about what I post because who knows who's going to look at it. Oh, I better not say that political thought that I'm having because who knows when somebody's going to come look at it and maybe that potential employer who looks me out on LinkedIn is going to find that and then they're not going to. So I regulate myself. I change my behavior. I alter my behavior as a result of the knowledge, not that I am being watched, but that I might be watched. Right? So in the end, what happens is it doesn't even matter whether or not there's a guard in the tower. The inmates behave themselves because they don't know if they're being watched or when they're going to be watched. They just know that it's going to happen at some point. That's the Panopticon. Pardon me? The more we self-regulate. Yeah, the more aware we are that we might be watched, the more we self-regulate, the more we ourselves police our behavior and what we talk about. Okay? Important idea. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? I don't know how much time do we have left in the session? Pardon me? We're almost done. So somebody's eager for it to be done. They're like, enough, he's scaring me when he's talking about. The one other thing I would just say, so, well, here I am, I'm from Canada, and so I'm wondering if some of you have more general questions about life as a student in Canada, how I interact with students more generally than just this kind of thing in a lecture. Does anybody have any questions about being a student in Canada or about our university? I'm happy to answer those questions as well. Well, I also welcome you to come and say hello to me after, and if you have any questions you want to ask me directly, I'm more than happy to answer those when we have a chance to meet after. So I'll say thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for all of the thoughtful questions as well. It's really an honor and a pleasure to have been here. Thank you.